Okay guys, I'm going to show you guys how to build your graphs for your diagnosing diabetes from the lab that we did on Friday. So what I want you to do first is go ahead and open up your 211 Diagnosing Diabetes. This is the one that you should have saved either on your H drive or your flash drive. It's where you have the patient information right here answered, already highlighted. So open up that document for me. So pause the video and open it. Now that you've opened that document, I actually decided to change this a little bit. So I want you to go to your MyPLTW, sorry, wrong one, to this assignment, the 211 Diagnosing Diabetes. And you'll see that the instructions, it gives you the link, but it says edited right here on it. So go ahead and download that. And we're actually going to transfer everything over to this edited document because that's the one I really want you to use. So notice that it says edited up at the top, and I put it in red just so you know which one you're using. Also, the title up here in the name should also say edited. So what we need to do is we need to transfer over our information. So the first thing is this patient histories. So in the edited document, if you delete this, okay, put it down again, and we go over to the document you already have done, we're going to copy and then go to the new one. Make sure it's the edited one, and we're going to paste it. Yep, undo. Sorry, we need to paste it the way it was, otherwise it doesn't copy the highlighting. There we go. So we paste it right there. So it's already done. I just want to put it in the new edited document. And then in the other one, if you have any conclusion questions answered, you can copy those over. But otherwise, you shouldn't have anything else in there. You should just have the patient information highlighted. So we close out of the old one, just the one that you had done. So make sure you don't have anything else in there. You don't. So we close out of it. Now we're just in the edited one, and that's the one you guys are going to use for this assignment. So if we scroll down, we have our patient history in there. We did our glucose tolerance testing. We did the insulin testing. You might want to go back in and read those just because it'll give you some background information to make sure you understood what you did. I gave you the steps to the insulin and glucose testing. But this is the analysis that we're going to get to. So graphing your glucose test data to demonstrate how the glucose levels changed over time. So we're going to graph the information. I know it says that graph them all on the same graph. We're not going to do that. We're going to change it just because I modified this a bit. So we have patient A, patient B, and Anna Garcia. So to do this, we need to go into Excel. So if you open up Excel on your computer, we first need to enter our patient A glucose levels, and if it transfers over into another cell, it's okay. It's no big deal. Remember, we measured these at 0, 30, 60, 90, and 120. And I'm just going off of memory on this one because I don't remember exactly what these are. You have them in your notebook. I just don't have it at home with me. So we're going to say I want to say it went 50, 125, 125, 125, and back down to 50. Okay, if yours are not the same as that, it's fine. I want you to go off of the data that you have for patient A for glucose levels. Once you have your data entered, you're going to select from box A1 right here all the way down to B6. And we're going to go to Insert and Align Graph. And we're going to choose the first one. So we end up with this right here. So patient A glucose levels, but we're actually going to change this to patient A GTT test. That's glucose tolerance test. Now, this doesn't have all of our info. We need to go to layout, and we need to add access titles and add vertical access titles. Okay, now yours might be different because I think you have a different version of Word on yours. That's totally fine. Okay, look at adding elements. You need to add your access label if you've done this before. Our x-axis is time in minutes, and our y-axis is the glucose level. Oops. glucose level, and it's milligrams per deciliter. And we have there. So now our patient A GTT test is done. We're going to copy this, go back to our Word document, and we are going to paste it. Of course it doesn't paste right when I'm showing you, right? There we go. Okay, so we have our patient A1. Now, the key to this is you need to do this for your patient B and your Anna Garcia, but if you just change these numbers right here, it's going to change all of your graphs. So instead, what you need to do is you need to go to File, Save As, and you'll do Patient A GTT, and you'll save it in your H drive or your flash drive. Then you can start a new document. So you can go to New, blank, and again, this time we have patient B glucose levels. And again, you go 0, 30, 60, 90, and 120. And you enter in your patient B, and you go through the whole process again. So if you need to rewind, rewind. But what you should end up with in your Word document is you should have a graph for patient A, then a graph for patient B, and a graph for Anna. So that's just on the glucose levels. Okay, so you have a graph for each patient. Then on number 9, it says analyze your graphs and interpret your findings for each patient. Write a paragraph that explains who you believe can be diagnosed as a diabetic and why. So the next step on number 10 would be to test those patients that are diabetics for their insulin levels. Who did you decide not to test and why? And this is just putting down what you already know. Then you're going to go through and you're going to do an insulin graph for patient B and an insulin graph for Anna. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Anna one because I know that number off the top of my head. So you go back to your Excel graph. And again, remember you need to save all of your Excel graphs. So you should have 5 graphs saved after this. If you just erase the data, it's going to lose everything. So this is Anna insulin test, and her results were 50, I believe. I know it was the same all the way down. I don't remember the number. Sorry, I'm doing this from memory. So we're going to go to Inserts, Line Graph, and Anna insulin test. We need to put in our axis labels. Remember, yours might look a little bit different, so you just have to figure out what you need to do. Add your chart elements. It's on there. You've done it before. So this again is time in minutes. And then this would be, sorry. That would be our insulin amount, and you need your unit on there, and that's on your worksheet. So once we have our insulin, then we can copy this, go over to our Word document, and paste it. And it'll probably move it. Eventually you'll get on the second page. So you should have 5 graphs by the end of this. You should have a GTT graph for the patient A, patient B, and Anna, and then you should have an insulin graph for patient B and an insulin graph for Anna. Then for number 11, you have to analyze your graph and interpret your findings, and then answer your conclusion questions. So that's all you need to do to finish this. You're making 5 graphs, and then you are putting them over. You should save each Excel file, because if you don't, it's going to mess it up. You guys have today to work on this, and you have Wednesday when I come back and see you to finish this up. But the sooner you get it done, the faster you can start on a couple career journals that I have for you. So that is what you're working on. And then, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Once you finish it, you're going to submit it to your Diagnosing Diabetes. And then if you go to the other assignment, it's the Anna's medical history that you already have highlighted. So if I grab it, I'm just going to download Anna's medical history. You already have this. You've already started saving highlights in there. So in here, you go through all of this. Make sure we only went through this first paragraph. You should have all the terms in here defined. If you look at your amount, it's 10 points to define these terms. So make sure you know, like, her weight and height. is that average, below average, her blood pressure, pulse, etc. The physical exam. So when you're looking at pulse, what are they measuring? When you're looking at edema, when you see her glands, what glands are they looking at? CBC results. What does CBC mean? When they're testing for strep, what does that mean? What are they looking for in urine analysis, etc. So make sure you're really dissecting this medical history. Then it says in the follow-up diagnosis, so explain Anna's diagnosis. So for this one, I want to see your GTT graph that you have, and I want to see your insulin graph. So you should put both in here, GTT and insulin, and then tell me what they mean. Okay, so you should copy over both graphs that you made, Anna's GTT and her insulin graph. And then down at the bottom, explain the symptoms. And that's where you need to look up the symptoms of diabetes and how all of those work. So make sure you pay attention to that as well. So that's what I'm looking for there on your medical history. Once you're done with that, you can submit and you are done with diagnosing diabetes. I will see you guys in the